Welcome to the Street Report.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Come on.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Street Report podcast. My name is Jeff Woodard. As always, I am your host. Today's special guest, Vinnie Tortorich. He's like the top, tippity top fitness trainer in Hollywood. And he's here to share his tips on how you can keep the weight off after this Christmas feast and into the new year with your New Year's resolution. So stick around for that. And at the end of the episode, we've got some more great Christmas hip-hop music from G-Rock and the C&D Coalition, and then followed by a song or two from Dynamix to the classic bass group that was way ahead of their time.
Play those jingling, ring, ting, tingling too. Just hear those, play those jingling, ring, ting, tingling too. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here right now with the Vinnie Tortorich, Hollywood fitness trainer, writer of the book Fitness Confidential. Fitness Confidential is also his podcast, which is a great podcast. If you're into A, fitness, and B, especially wanting to know what to put in your body and the correct way to fuel yourself, I think that Vinny's got a lot of good points here. We may disagree on a couple things, but I want to get into this with you. Vinny, what initially got you into fitness at all? I mean, like when you were young and decided that you wanted to live a fit and healthy life, what was that first, what drove you to that?
Yeah, people don't ask me that question often enough. I walked into a gym when I was 8 years old, and it wasn't a gym. You have to think back. We're talking 1970.
Wow.
The dark ages, and there was no gyms. I walked into a neighbor, a family friend had some equipment in his garage.
Yeah.
And that was my first introduction. There were very few actual gyms. I mean, big cities might have a place in a corner called Joe's Gym in Rib Rack or something.
Yeah.
It was like a gym and something else. It was never just a gym. But I found it in the Deep South that long ago, and literally walked into that gym, and here I am at 55 years old. I've never walked out.
That's awesome. So I guess, I started getting into working out a lot when I was probably 15, 16 years old. And and I did the same thing. I pretty much worked out in the garage, me and my buddy, and my buddy was about 50 years old at the time. And he was really getting into working out for the first time. I was kind of motivating him, but having a spot motivated me. And I noticed that once you work out for a little while, you become a lot more in tune with your body, it seems like. You understand a little bit more, like when you feel bad after eating something or good after eating something. And I started to recognize that while consuming sugary or like cereals and stuff might make you feel good for a short amount of time, you soon felt the crash. Versus if I ate good food, I would have a more sustained energy from that source, right? So diet, I recognized at a pretty young age was a pretty important factor on feeling good in life.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because when I was really young and the reason I even wanted to work out was because I was getting picked on at school and beaten up and all that kind of stuff. And when you're 8 years old, I would look at superheroes on television. I was never into nerdy comic books or anything, but I would see like Superman on television, or Batman and Robin, and they all seemed to be substantial looking guys, right? But when you're that age, I didn't connect. Oh, well, those guys pump iron, because at 8 years old, living in the Deep South on a bayou, I didn't know what pumping iron was. It didn't exist. So when you start making, and I'm going to get to the food part of it, but the first time I made any connection was one afternoon I was watching Wide World of Sports,
Uh-huh.
and right at the end of it, this guy Jack LaLanne came on,
Yeah.
and he looked like those superheroes, like Superman, except he was real. I knew
Right.
that this wasn't a cartoon figure. And Jack was showing people, he's like, hey, if you exercise, your muscles will grow.
Yep.
And that's all an 8-year-old had to hear.
Right.
You know, for me to go, okay, in order to do this, I need to lift heavy things over my head. That's how you get big. You know, I didn't really put more than that together.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in the neighbor's, you know, this other Italian guy's gym.
Right.
And then, you know, once I started working out, his name was Joe Bonadonna. He's no longer with us. But Joe was a good family friend and took me under his wing. And he started talking to me about, you know, to build muscle, you need to eat a lot of protein. And I was like, what is this protein you speak of?
Yeah.
And he goes, it comes from stuff like meat and fish and chicken and eggs. And I said, well, I already eat all of that stuff. And he goes, no, you have to eat more of it, because when you're building muscles, you need to feed, you know, he was talking to an 8-year-old, you know,
Right.
you need to feed it more protein. You know, you are what you eat, you know, and he would tell me red meat is from the muscle of a cow. So, you know, this kind of stuff. You know, so that was the beginning of me, you know, the rudimentary beginnings of me understanding as a young kid nutrition. Now, of course, I have my degree in exercise physiology and nutrition. So, you know,
right.
At some point I went to college and got a degree in it. But, you know, the first understanding of it was, you know, I lift something over my head.
Yep.
It taxes the muscles. And then I eat something with protein in it. It will build the muscle.
Right.
So, yeah, that was my beginning of it. I don't know if that went off the scale of what you were asking, but that's the answer.
Right. Well, no, that's exactly what I wanted to get at. So, you know, and I know, the sugar industry has basically got a lot of people in its pockets and has for an awful long time. In the late 70s, probably mid 70s to early 80s, there was a huge campaign, a shift to go to this low-fat diet, right? And so everyone starts to cut out animal fats and no longer using butter and stuff like this, but instead switching to margarine and vegetable oils and all this. Can you speak to what it does in the body? Like what is the difference? How does your body treat these oils differently, like vegetable oil versus olive oil, per se?
Yeah, you know, and by the way, you said the late 70s, early 80s. It actually started a lot earlier than that. You know, in the early 1960s, around the time I was born, about 55 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, Ansel Keys was, won out and got the nation to, you know, to start looking at grains as quote unquote heart healthy. At the same time, a scientist from England, John Yudkin, was saying sugar will kill us.
Yeah.
And now, you know, all of this stuff is coming out more and more and more. We're finding, you know, where the bodies were buried, you know, and guys like me were preaching about this for years, long before the internet was around, and I was just considered a kook.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason anyone would listen to me is because I'm in Hollywood and I make starlets really thin. So they will go, okay, he's a kook, but you have to listen to him because he's got some kind of secret sauce of keeping people, you know, healthy, so to speak. So that's what that was. You know, so that started way long before anyone ever considered it had started. By 1972, we're talking 10 years after Ansel Keys started his melee on the world. You know, we had a sugar crisis in this country. You know, there was a lot of hurricanes that went through the South where I grew up. You know, I have family that was in the and still is in the sugarcane business.
Yeah. And
those people, you know, all the crops were ruined by the hurricane. So we started doing trade with China. We opened up trade for high fructose corn syrup And we never looked back. But your question was more about the oil. You had brought up the other piece, so I just went with it. When I was a kid, I remember watching commercials on television because that was the only place you would see ads. And they would say, use Mazola.
Right.
It's corn oil. This is with the Indians. Indians ate maize. Now we have to eat corn oil, and
a little
so
different.
That was like a big thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. Number one. And then it was, I can't believe it's not butter.
Right.
All this stuff. All that stuff started and they started this whole, it was a double campaign. One part of the campaign was saturated fat will kill you. And hey, we happen to have an oil here that has no saturated fat in it.
Right.
So why don't you just use this oil?
Yeah.
That was number one. And then number two, they started putting this stuff, people like McDonald's would put beef tallow in the fries. When I grew up, the fries at McDonald's were unfreaking believably good.
Yeah.
They were crispy brown on the outside. They had like a crunch. And on the inside, it was this nice kind of soft potato, like a pillow. But then all of a sudden, they started doing them because there was a campaign from, the vegan side of the world and this one guy started this campaign, this rich guy, to say that he thought that tallow was going to kill everyone. So they started putting this cheaper corn oil, this vegetable oil in the fryers. And what that does is once you heat it up past a certain temperature and you let it cool and you heat it up again the next day, it literally weaponizes the oil. And that is the stuff that can clog your arteries.
Man.
Not so much the beef tallow,
right?
Which is crazy. More resilient as an oil.
So, where did all the information that we had before that claimed that fat was clogging your arteries, like beef fat and everything was clogging up your arteries, was that complete bullshit, or is there some truth to it, but at to a point, or how's that go?
There was no truth to it whatsoever.
Really?
It was all just concocted. Yeah. It wasn't like, well, there's some smoke here, so all right, let's, it's going to start a fire. It was not like that. It was literally from square one, complete and utter bullshit.
Huh.
It was basically a campaign to get people to stop killing animals. I can let's take something more recent. Right? And when you hear this, you're going to go, how silly does this sound? But right now, recently, Dr. Michael Greger, who's a big vegan / blah, blah, blah guy, right? Michael Greger put out a thing called Quit the Carton. And the carton he's talking about is the egg carton. And he literally put a campaign out there saying that eating one single egg, is as egregious and as bad as smoking 5 cigarettes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I saw what I saw what the health, and I called it as bullshit like right away. And I immediately posted on Facebook like, this is complete bullshit. Please do not believe. But I got hammered like by some of my friends even, like, because people buy into it, man. I mean, people really buy into it, and they think that we're supposed to sustain ourselves purely off vegetables, and I'm like, dude, you can't. You really can't. Like, I mean, I guess you can survive, but you're not gonna feel all that great. I mean, come on. I mean, watch Naked and Afraid, right? Whenever these vegans go on Naked and Afraid, they always feel like complete shit until they finally decide to eat something with some real protein in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go on and on about it. Look, I have to work with vegans every day.
Yeah, that must be frustrating.
I
mean, in your field.
It really is, but I don't try to change them.
Yeah.
I never, ever say, look, I live out in Hollywood, right? And I work with vegans. That's
right.
just a fact.
Yeah.
And I never try to change them, but eventually they'll come to me with their tail between their legs and go, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And they'll usually go, well, I'll start with fish or chicken. Why fish or chicken? I'm not quite sure, but they'll always go there first.
Yeah.
And, go, okay, yeah, I'll try this. And once they start feeling better, they just kind of, they go, well, I guess I was wrong.
Right.
And I'll say to them, how did you ever get into the vegan lifestyle? How did it all start?
Yeah.
And usually it was, well, I was doing a movie with this other, like the star of the movie was a vegan.
Yeah.
And she kept on me about this, and she was yammering on day after day and talking about how, all these vegan lies, the earth is going to be, it's just the reason global warming is happening is because we're eating beef. I mean, they'll tie anything to a piece of beef,
right,
as being bad. And it's like, so you started becoming a vegan based on lies by someone who just told you these lies. And they sit there and they think about it for a second and go, yeah, I guess you're right.
Well,
but someone will go on.
Well, what I was going to say about that is the effects on global warming supposedly from cows is from methane, right? From their farts. Now,
right.
If we all eat like cows do, there's a lot more people on the planet than there are cows. So if we start farting like cows do, wouldn't that make everything worse? And the farts are based on what they consume.
I've made that point 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I said, eating a low carb, high fat diet. I never have a whole lot of flatulence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just ever.
Hold on, Vinny. I got to take a very fast pause. I want you to hear something. Okay. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
You hear that? You know what that is, Vinny?
Are you embracing the slurp over there?
I'm embracing the slurp, brother.
Does your audience even know what that means?
My audience probably would not know what that means, but what I just did was I took a slurp of bone broth. Vinny does this every episode, and if you haven't had some really good bone broth, you don't know, but it makes you feel good.
It really does. As Serena puts it, she goes, it's the one food that literally, when you drink it, it goes down to your toes.
Yeah, you feel it throughout your body.
We call it natural Gatorade around here because, when Serena does her ultra runs or whatever, and I used to do it when I bike raced, the one thing we would bring, people go, what do you guys eat? You guys must have some special diet. Oh, my God. It's like, nah, bone broth.
Yeah.
Just bone broth. What's in this magic? It's like, it's what Gatorade should be,
Yeah.
We put a lot of salt in it. We put some pepper. We put some spices. And when you're on a bicycle and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's 35 degrees out there.
Yeah.
And someone hands you that on your bike.
Oh man.
Oh my God! It's like night and day.
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's
imagine.
Literally night and day.
What I do sometimes now, Vinny, is I'll pour some a couple cups of bone broth into a small pot. And then just, chop up a few little onions and garlic and throw that in there. And then maybe even do an egg or two. And then just eat it like a soup. And it's great, So
it's wonderful stuff.
So we can agree that eggs don't give you diabetes, right?
That was another Michael Grieger thing.
Yeah.
He claimed, it's funny. I had another doctor on the show right after, and I asked this guy was Dr. Robert Lustig, and he goes, I said, Robert, what do you think about Michael Grieger making all these claims? And doctors don't like to hammer other doctors.
Yeah.
It's kind of like cops will always testify for other cops.
Of course.
And he was like, well, Michael Grieger is a very good doctor and the whole thing. I said, well, what did you have to say about him? I said, I put it like this. I said, so how much sugar is in an egg?
Yeah.
And he goes, that's crazy. There's no sugar in an egg. And I said, okay, can an egg cause diabetes? He goes, that's preposterous. It could not happen. I said, well, that esteemed doctor you were just bragging about, you said just that,
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I have to look into this. This can't possibly be. I went, no. Yeah, he said that an egg will cause diabetes, number one, which is a lie.
Yeah.
And number two, it's 70 on the glycemic scale.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I have to look into that. It's like, well, you could go right to his health.org or whatever he calls it and look it up. I don't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
You know?
That was just such a ridiculous claim. I couldn't believe anyone believed it, really, but like people did. And that's the problem, is there's so much misinformation out there on diet. And there's so much bullshit out there. I mean, and not just bullshit diets, but bullshit food marketed to people that you know. Tell us, Vinny. Let's make it perfectly clear to people, okay? How do you take a Hollywood actor who says, okay, Vinny, I've got to prepare myself for this next role. I need to lose, so many pounds. Tell them exactly what you would tell these people as far as diet goes. What is the mission that they need to be on? How should their cabinets look? How should the fridge look?
Here's the thing. Usually when a guy like me got the phone call and it was someone I generally didn't work with before.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what was up or what was doing. It was literally, I would have like 6 weeks, because they're cranking up the shoot and the whole thing. And and the agent or someone from the studio would say, look, you just go with this guy. We're paying for it. Listen to everything this guy says.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what he says, you do. And look, these people have a lot of money on the line. They need to look a certain way. So, in fact, they will listen to exactly what we tell them to do. Right?
Yeah.
And I will literally immediately put them into dietary ketosis just to get their body to become fat adapted. And I would keep them there for usually the first month of that 6 weeks. Then I would introduce more, different foods and the whole thing, and I would have them working out really hard. But I would throw them right into dietary ketosis because, it's the only way to get them fat adapted really fast and get their body utilizing fat.
Okay, so for a lot of my audience, they're not going to know what you mean by dietary ketosis or fat adapted. You want to break that down?
Yeah, to put it simple for anyone who, any layperson, basically, it would be a month of the induction phase of the Atkins diet. You're keeping your carbohydrates to a minimum, 20, 25 grams, 30 grams a day. And by the way, in a lot of cases, I would let some of these people go 35, 40 grams because I would put them into zone 2 aerobics where I was just burning up a ton of fat cells. And, of course, they would burn some of that glycogen with that. So, that gets more technical. But it's basically cutting out carbohydrates, all fruit, cutting out all vegetables except cruciferous veggies like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and this kind of thing. And everything else is meat. Coconut oil was always, coconut oil is kind of like the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
But guys like me, we've been using it for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
Things like that. Eating, high fat nuts like macadamia nuts, fish oil, all this kind of stuff is what they would have on their plate every day, all day.
Yeah.
Chicken, a lot of chicken. For breakfast, instead of having egg white omelet, it would be 2 eggs with 1 or 2 extra yolks, depending on the size, whether it's a male or a female, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And whatever I would deem enough or safe for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And on like that.
So once ketosis kicks in, what exactly is happening?
Well, your body can run on sugar.
Right.
Or it can run on fat, but it doesn't use fat as fat. It converts the fat to something called ketone bodies. And it's actually what your brain prefers to live on. Your brain, according to the vegans, your brain should just run on sugar. That's the only thing it wants to run on. And it will only run on ketones if sugar is not available, and that means you're dying, according to them. But in reality, whenever the first line of defense for people with seizures is to put them on a low-carb, high-fat diet into a ketosis type situation,
Yeah.
because the brain operates so much better in ketosis that it could literally stop seizures in kids.
It's amazing.
So you can be a kid that's having 15, 20 grand mal seizures a day, and without any medication or anything else, dietary ketosis could stop it. That's how powerful this is.
And
It's also powerful in losing weight.
yeah. And right now would be a good time to tell you exactly how I got introduced to the no sugar, no grain diet in the first place. For me, I work like a delivery job, and it's a real
Yeah.
constant work pace. When you first start, you go through your 30-day trial, and most everyone doesn't take a lunch during that trial because you got to make it, right? So I was
Right.
skipping lunch and trying to make it through the day on energy drinks, basically. And
Ugh.
yeah, and what happened to me was I became low glycemic, and I had the low blood sugar levels, which made me feel absolutely terrible. I couldn't think straight. I was super clammy, sweaty. My vision was getting blurry. I felt like, okay, something's wrong. I need to do something, right? So
Right.
at the moment, I had a good doctor who explained to me that the Atkins diet would clear it up, and I looked into it, and I learned about no sugar, no grains, and I went on it, and I kept on it for a good solid 3 months. That first month, I cleared up my problems with being low glycemic. I started to feel 100% better. I had more energy. I could tell it made a solid difference in the way that I felt. So I didn't stay on it. I kind of wish I did. What I do wonder though is there's some benefit to fruit and stuff like that, and cutting it out completely, I think, while I felt like it repaired me, and it could and should be used in weight loss. Like if you're looking to lose weight quick, go no sugar, no grain. If you want to repair dietary problems that have caused sugar issues in your body, I think that it's the way to do it. But I wonder, on a long-term sustainable diet, like you've been on it for quite some time, right?
Oh yeah, I live in diet. Well, I don't tell anyone no sugar. My NSNG approach, my no sugars no grains approach,
Yeah.
is not necessarily a dietary ketosis. It's lower carb, but it's not extremely low carb.
Okay.
It's a go between. And fruit is fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's not tropical fruit, the high sugar fruits, like bananas or pineapples or papayas. The low.
What about mangoes? I love
glycemic.
mangoes, Vinny.
Mangoes are high, because they're sugar.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all love sugar. It's very addictive.
Of
Things
course.
like apples, pears,
Yeah.
avocado is an actual fruit. Olives are fruits. Tomatoes are fruits. These are all good.
Yeah.
Berries, any kind of berries or cherries, that's all stuff you can have. And like I said, apples and pears, and even peaches. Those are a lot better for you than any of the other stuff. But fruit should only be consumed on occasion. It shouldn't be a staple.
Right.
And I think that people want to know what they could do with impunity every day. Well, Vinny says I can have apples, so I'm going to have 5 apples a day. It doesn't work that way.
No, you can have apple.
Yeah.
Right.
Have
Yeah.
an apple. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't go nuts. And I think a lot of times people don't people underestimate how much sugar is in juice. Like, for instance, a glass of orange juice, that's probably like 6 oranges, right? You're not going to sit down and eat 6 oranges. And I think there's a difference.
Well, look, listen. If you pour a 6-ounce glass of orange juice, you're basically drinking nothing but sugar.
Yeah.
It's straight sugar, and it will give you a spike.
Yep.
It will make your insulin spike. It will cause you to store that orange juice as a fat. long chain triglyceride. It's just not good for you.
Right.
There's nothing good in any fruit juice. Period.
Yeah. But versus when you eat a fruit, if you take a bite of a piece of fruit and it's still got all its fiber and all of its contents, your body has to work now to separate everything, right? So it's burning a little bit more energy.
Right. It sends the sugar from your stomach to your liver in a very, very, like in a trickled state. So it's much more difficult to get an insulin spike from that.
Right. So I want people to understand that. Like there is a difference between drinking a glass of fruit juice and consuming that fruit.
Right.
As a whole. Right. Yeah. So you're very popular these days. You did a Corolla show just earlier today?
Yeah, Adam has been nice enough to have me on this show like every other week for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm on twice a month, so I guess I'm on like 24, 25 days a year. Sometimes they'll call me in between the time I'm supposed to be on to come in and do another show and that kind of thing, which is neat.
Yeah.
And he's got the most popular podcast in the world. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for it. So yeah, I like doing that. And folks like yourself invite me onto your shows. And are you a Corolla fan?
I am a big Corolla fan, and I think if you're in podcasting, you should be. Period. Because the man did so much for podcasting, and I just I was gonna ask you, do me a favor, when you see him next, just say, you know what, this guy Jeff at this show, he says thank you. That's it. Because
I will. Because
he supported podcasting when the patent trolls were coming after him. Things could be a lot different for all of us right now. So I think that it's important that he gets his credit on that, because he came out of his own pocket to deal with that situation, and it was real important for the entire industry.
It was. My podcast was probably, when that was all going on, I guess my show was maybe 2 years old at the time, maybe 3 years, about 2 years old.
Yeah.
And, I knew what he was going through over there, and, I donated some bucks and all that kind of thing, as I'm sure a lot of people donated to that cause. But, I was looking around at the time, my podcast at that time was getting pretty sizable. I think at that time we were getting maybe 300,000 downloads a month or something.
Wow.
Which I think is a sizable show. We were a couple of years in.
Yeah.
And the show was just starting to generate enough income to pay for itself.
Yeah.
Meaning I was out of pocket forever before that.
Oh, of course. That's the way it is.
Of course, the show had sparked my book.
Yeah.
Fitness Confidential. I was able to sell a book off of that first 2 years of the show. And I don't know how much you know about me or it or whatever, but the book, was a huge success.
Yeah.
And by the way, it still sells like hotcakes on Amazon. We're shocked when we look at it. Oh my God, this thing is still selling.
Yeah.
And to think that, this is the end of it. I knew it was too good to be true type of thing. It's like, this is going to be over with in 5 minutes now, because these patent trolls are doing what they're doing.
Right.
And, I do give Adam a lot of credit. For guy, like you take a guy like me, and now we have like 1 million downloads a month.
Yeah.
None of that would have been possible if it wasn't for Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's awesome. I mean, I never met the guy, but just, I really respect this. I respect everything that he's done, and he's helped a lot of his friends and stuff. It's not like he forgot where he came from. None of that. It's really he's a cool cat, and he deserves respect from all of us, I think. So Vinnie, if I said, I mean, you're Cajun, right? By heart, by birth.
I'm Italian. I'm an American first.
Okay.
My family is
from Italy.
Italian, but I grew up in the heart of Cajun country. I was born on the bayou.
So I consider you a Cajun.
Yeah, I'm a Cajun. I grew up Cajun culture. If people go, you don't act like an Italian, it's like, no, I grew up Cajun.
Yeah.
Hunting and fishing and yeah, the whole Cajun background.
Yeah. My mom's side of the family comes from Houma, Louisiana. And
That's the same bayou. I grew up in Donaldsonville, right on Bayou Lafourche.
really,
Um, yeah, your mom is about 45, 50 miles down the bayou from my house.
that area of Louisiana has got a special spot in my heart, and we always go out there, for Mardi Gras or just to hang out every once in a while. And Louisiana's a cool place, but it's a really difficult place to be no sugar, no grain, isn't it?
Well, yeah, especially the Cajun culture, they tend to, they will bread something, they'll deep fry it, but first they'll put corn and wheat batter
You know
over,
it.
like corn. And by the way, it's all delicious, but
Of
it will
course.
all kill you.
Right.
And yeah, we all grew up in that culture.
Yeah.
And look, I'm going to be down there in a few days. I'm going
Yeah.
to go down for a quick visit, and look, I do okay when I go. I could go to Mike Anderson's Seafood. They'll broil up a seafood platter for me, and
Right.
I'll get all the protein I want from 20,000 different fish.
Yeah.
But it is tempting when you're down there,
Definitely.
with all of the stuff, because no matter what, you'll get a broiled seafood platter, but they'll be breading in the stuffed crab and breading in this and breading in that.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that stuff going, oh, man. But I know how I would feel 20 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
So I tend to stay away.
And isn't it funny how humans are like that? I mean, for the mouth pleasure, just to have something that tastes great, we will feel like complete shit for the rest of the day. Just so we can.
It will literally. Can I tell you something? I do whole years of something called No Life into Living.
Yeah.
Over at NSNG at VinnieTortorich.com, we talk about life into living, meaning every now and then go have the best pizza in the world. Every now and then have some Haagen-Dazs or any kind of dessert you want.
Yeah.
Well, I do whole years of not putting any life into living because,
Wow.
I'm trying to keep cancer at bay
Yeah.
for as long as I can. And this year, I put two caveats into my No Life into Living. One caveat was, if and when I'm in Italy, I can have gelato.
Yeah.
Because think about it, how often do you go to Italy?
Right.
And if I'm in Louisiana, let's say I go to Louisiana 5 times.
Yeah.
Which is a lot because this year I'm getting ready to go there for my 3rd time this year. When I'm there, no matter how many days I'm there for,
Yeah.
I can have fried catfish one time.
You got to.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was in Italy, my sister-in-law had this house out in the country, and they had this gelato.
Yeah.
And I had some. Number one, it didn't even taste that good. It wasn't as good as I remembered Italian gelato being.
Oh man.
Number two, I had to go take a nap. About 20 minutes later, I had to excuse myself.
Yeah.
Everybody was out by the pool and having a great time. I had to go upstairs and take a nap.
Yeah.
And when I'm in Louisiana, the same thing. Like on the 2nd or 3rd day, I'll be with my parents eating somewhere in Baton Rouge, and I'll go, let me have that. This place really knows how to make the fried catfish. And then my 80-year-old dad has to drive home because I feel like crap and I want to take a nap on a 30-minute drive.
Right.
I mean, booze doesn't do that to me, but fried catfish will.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you wouldn't expect that it would have more of an effect than booze. Yeah.
It's all crazy.
It is. Well, I'm wondering, like, where do you fall on milk? Because milk has been having a pretty bad rap lately, and then if you're down on cow's milk, then how do you? I mean, like, is goat's milk or anything any different?
There's slight differences. Wait, can you hang on one second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had to say goodbye to Serena.
No problem.
So, and that's podcasting, folks.
You're right.
You were asking about milk.
Yeah.
First off, it's funny because you mentioned, aforementioned Adam Carolla. We were just talking about eggnog, and he was like, "What about milk? And what about this? And what about that?"
Yeah.
Here's the problem. So I'm basically going to repeat something I said on his show. I'm okay with dairy in the form of butter, excuse me, or in the form of heavy cream, or in the form of cheese. But when you have milk, you have a liquid, and it has a lot more lactose in it. There's less fat. Even high-fat milk has less fat and more lactose, and it's in liquid form. So in and of itself, it's not the best choice when you're trying to eat low carbs. You're better off eating a high-fat cheese or butter, which is basically oil, or, for that matter, heavy whipping cream. But just milk in and of itself is probably not the best thing.
Yeah.
And is goat milk better?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different enzymes, and some people who can't tolerate cow's milk can have goat's milk. But have you ever tasted that stuff or even smelled it?
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, it smells like wet goat.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever sniffed a goat, but I grew up on the farm.
Yeah. It does smell like
Yeah,
goat.
goats they smell
They
nasty.
do stink.
They're cute as they can be, but they smell.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, what about the probiotics craze then? Yogurt, kombucha, do you find probiotics to be as important as being emphasized right now, and how would you get it in you?
Your body gets all the probiotics it needs. Yogurt is generally all you need to do to get any and all probiotics you would ever need.
Yeah.
We generate what we need. Kombucha has, we started this show off by me saying, I've been in and around this for a gazillion years, since 1970. You want to take an idea of how many times I've seen kombucha come and go over the years?
Well,
how many times I've seen wheatgrass come and go?
Yeah.
It's BS. It just is. And number one, it doesn't even taste good.
Right.
I don't know what the big deal is about kombucha and all that.
Well, people want to feel good. People want to lose weight. People want to live a healthier lifestyle. But every other year, there's another diet.
Every other year, every other 5 minutes.
Yeah. So you really can't blame people for being confused, and not, and even giving up, because it's like, well, shit, I did that one for so long, and then all of a sudden it comes out that's bad. So now I'm gonna switch to another diet, and it's I've always tried to stay up on diet, and I find it confusing sometimes. Like, okay, man, fuck.
Oh, everyone finds it confusing. That's why when I created NSNG, I mean, think about it. I came up with NSNG, and the first thing I said was, I'm not going to charge for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it out there for free.
But you have a great free PDF right now we should plug.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you go to VinnieTortorich.com, and there's a PDF at the top of the page, and everyone goes to that PDF, and then they'll write to him and go, oh, my God, I thought that this was going to be clickbait for something different.
Right.
This is the whole thing for free. You gave us 24 pages of free content.
It's awesome.
Free. And they'll go, why did you do that? It's like, because I'm trying to show people that I'm not trying to take their last dime based on how they should eat. This is how people should eat.
Right.
Period. I have a vitamin company, PureVitaminClub.com. You will never hear me say that in order to be healthy, you must use Pure Vitamin Club products.
Right.
Because that would be a lie.
Yeah.
I own a coffee company because PureCoffeeClub.com. Coffee is a great ergogenic. Coffee is good for your health. I can show you 1,000 articles to tell you that coffee is good. I had a cup of coffee while I was talking to you on this interview.
Yeah.
The bottom line is I will never tell you you must drink my coffee in order to be healthy. That would be a lie.
Right.
And I'm not, I said, if I'm going to go into this space, into this diet space, I'm not going to walk around lying to people or saying, hey, in order to be healthy, you must choose one of my products.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
And it's easy to do that with
wrong.
supplements and vitamins and let's talk about that for a second since we're on it. A lot of supplements are bullshit, right?
Yeah, a lot of them are. And people, body. You told me you were into that bodybuilding thing for a while.
Right.
A lot of that stuff is bad for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'll tell you what. This was another thing that I remember when I was younger and into bodybuilding. One of the things that made me feel the best, gave me the most energy, and allowed me to lift more in the gym was raw liver pills. So
yeah.
So I learned from that, and now to this day, I try to eat a lot of liver, and I think that when people make those raw liver pills for themselves, as disgusting as it sounds, I think that's probably a really good delivery source for nutrients.
It really is, but as you put it, raw liver is actually better.
Yeah.
Not raw liver, but cooked liver. Just liver in and of itself is better than just the raw liver.
Yeah. In a pill form.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's up to us to do it. Everyone wants to find out what they could take in the pill, right?
Right. Everyone wants the easy way.
Right. And there is no easy way. And like people go, well, you put a vitamin out. What's that? It's like, yeah, I'm not telling people you have to take my vitamin to be healthy. But the bottom line is we are lacking in all kinds of nutrients because the land has been raped. We don't have the same quality of vegetables we used to have. Nothing is the same quality. So it's a lot better to have, a vitamin that can cover what we're missing in our lives.
Kind of fill in the spaces. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, people have come to me. They've already tried to buy PureVitaminClub.com from me. It's like, man, you have a great concept. Why don't you sell it to our big company?
Yeah.
And I'll look at it and go, no, I want to keep making these vitamins the natural way. I know when I sell it, they'll start adding crap to it.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely.
So I'd rather keep doing it myself,
Yeah. As somebody who has taken supplements in the past, I can just attest to that. That a lot of times supplement companies start out as like a great company making good product, and then they get bought out, and the name continues, but all of a sudden all the products are something completely different, and it's made out of much cheaper ingredients. And they figure what they do is these companies, they figure that company's already built a name for itself. It's already making good sales. Now we can take that company and make the product for less money by using cheaper ingredients, but continue to sell it at the same price.
That's the thing.
Yep.
You know who that just happened to? This company Epic Bar. They were making these beef bars.
Yeah.
And most of them, like I'd say, like 70% of the products I was recommending to people.
Right.
And all of a sudden, someone on Twitter said, "Hey, man, you recommended this bar. It's full of sugar." And I went, "No, it's not." And he goes, "Yes, it is." I went, "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." "No, it's not." So I went in my pantry and pulled one out, and I said, "Look, this." I took a screenshot of it and put it on Twitter. I said, "This is what mine says," right?
Yeah.
And he took a screenshot of the same bar, but on the back, his said something totally different. And that's when we figured out that they had sold out.
Man.
They sold out to a different company, and I still had some of the older bars.
Yeah.
That still had the old ingredient.
Man.
They had added sugar to it. They added all kinds of crap.
See, isn't that and milk itself too? That's another thing I want to point out right now is low-fat milk. By the way, what they do is they remove fat. Now it tastes like shit, so they add sugar, right?
Well, they don't add sugar. What happens is, they might be adding sugar now. I don't know every milk company out there, and I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I know with kids, they're trying to get them to have low-fat chocolate milk. Well, you have a double whammy.
Right.
So that one, they are adding sugar, to sweeten it up so the kids would have it. But non-fat milk, basically you've taken the fat out and you have nothing left except the lactose. Lactose is sugar. So now you have a glass of sugar. You might as well be drinking fruit juice. And by the way, that's something I've been yelling about for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm starting to see stuff on the internet where people are agreeing with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me ask
It's
you about
crazy.
lactose-free milk. Is that any better or worse?
No, because they're not pulling out all the sugar. They're pulling out the part of the lactose that causes the problem.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like when they say lactose free, it's not completely lactose free. They're pulling an enzyme out. They've discovered which enzyme screws people up. So it's really not any better.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
Yeah,
What?
it's all lies up and down the street. It's just all lies.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Thanksgiving just passed. Christmas is coming up. We're all going to be eating. A lot of us. I don't know about you, Vinny, but a lot of us are going to be eating some things that we shouldn't be eating. And then everybody, come January 1st, everyone is going to claim that they're going to go on a diet, right? So
Right.
let's say for the general public that's not getting paid millions of dollars to adapt themselves for the next movie,
Right.
what do you suggest? Something that people can easily stick to. Maybe it's not quite as extreme. It's not all the way no sugar, no grain, but like give me a good 3 meals in a day, okay? Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Explain a great plate that people can eat that is both appealing to them, because that's part of it too. Is if you cut down to a chicken breast and beans every day, it gets dry to them. So like a good, decent, great tasting meal. How do they get themselves back into shape?
Okay. Breakfast, always good to have a couple of eggs. If you want to add bacon to that, that's fine. And if you want to do an omelet, add avocado to it or cheese or whatever, that's fine. But always have it with the yolks. The yolk is the most important piece. So that's breakfast.
Wait a minute. What was the most important piece? The cholesterol?
Yeah, the cholesterol part.
Okay.
And by the way, it's not just all cholesterol. And by the way, cholesterol is good for you.
Right.
But yeah, that's the most important thing is the whole egg, and that's breakfast. For lunch, stay away from, if you go to a restaurant, some people eat in these cheap restaurants for lunch, stay away from salad dressings and any kind of goop.
Yeah.
And that includes vinaigrette. That might be one of the worst ones.
Really?
But all of them, even the ones that don't taste like they have sugar in them,
yeah,
maybe like a blue cheese dressing, is still full of high fructose corn syrup, and it's not good.
Oil and
if you're
vinegar?
You're going to have a salad or something, oil and vinegar.
Yeah.
And if they say, oh, we'll just bring you the vinaigrette, no, bring me the oil, bring me the vinegar, let me do it myself.
And maybe even a little salt and pepper, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Whatever you want to put to spice it up after, that's fine. If you're going to have meat, have red meat or have chicken or have pork. But if it's barbecue, tell them to hold the barbecue sauce. Just, the dry rub is fine.
Yeah.
And then for dinner, I always say whatever you didn't have for lunch, have for dinner.
Yeah.
That's when we usually steam up the broccoli, or we'll grill the broccoli to kind of give it that little blackened thing,
Yeah.
Usually we have fish at night, sometimes red meat, depending on who's cooking and who's running late.
Yeah.
Serena's in the middle of acting right now, so a lot of times dinner's on me now.
Oh wow.
Because she's busy with with practice and everything, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
But just whatever you could do like that.
Yeah.
But that's 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And for snacks, I tell people high-fat nuts
Yeah.
are always great. Cheese is always a great snack. Olives are a great snack. Avocados are great snacks. A caprese salad is always a great meal and or a snack.
Yeah.
That's just sliced up tomatoes with mozzarella, slices, and a drizzle of olive oil. But those are some great options. Those are all great things to eat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, Vinny, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know your schedule's crazy. You just came from the Corolla show. You're getting ready for another thing, and I know that it's constant for you. You're putting your show out, daily almost now, aren't you?
Yeah, we do 5 shows a week. So, I have my show, and I'm doing other people's shows today after this. Some guy named Scott Mulvaney, I'm doing his show. And then I have to do my, I'm going to do a live broadcast, probably between 5 and 6 tonight, maybe 6 o'clock, because it looks like it'll be closer to 6 tonight. And I'll probably tape that as a Saturday podcast also.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a we don't ever seem to stop around here.
When do you work out? And do your bike rides? I mean,
this morning I have a rowing machine in my office.
Yeah.
I did that for an hour.
Wow.
Maybe tonight around 7 o'clock after I feed the dogs, I might go to I will go. I say might, but to me it means I will. I'll go to the gym tonight for hour and a half. I think tonight is the pull night. I'll do some laps and pull-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
And then call it a day.
All right.
Yeah. And by the way, I'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
People are, I don't have time. I just don't have. We make time.
Yeah.
We can all make time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not that difficult.
Yeah, you can figure it out. You might have to wake up a little earlier or something, but you can adapt in some way to squeeze it in. And I think it's important for everyone to A, get some exercise, and B, eat right. If you want to live a long, healthy, happy life, and you don't want to be a crippled, decrepit dude. Because, Vinny, are you afraid to tell these people how old you are?
Oh, no, I'm 55 years old.
55 years old. Look at pictures of Vinny. Okay? The dude's in great shape. There's something that he knows, okay? He's not just bullshitting us. Vinny, thanks for talking to us. Tell everybody where they can find you.
If you want to get all the free stuff, go to VinnieTortorich.com. VINNIE. T as in Tom, O-R, T again, O-R-I-C-H. VinnieTortorich.com. My book is still on Amazon, Fitness Confidential. The podcast is called Fitness Confidential. And I own 2 online companies. One is called PureVitaminClub.com, where you could get the multi-cap, the magnesium, or the B12 supplement. And we have a very exciting product coming out. The vitamin D is coming out in the middle of January. And also Pure Coffee Club, where, and this is my opinion, I make the finest coffee on the planet. As a matter of fact, we supply all of the coffee now to Corolla Digital and to Corolla's house.
Really?
He fell in love with my coffee, yeah. Lynette got a hold of some of it at the studio, and she was like, this stuff is really good. And I said, say no more. It's coming to your house, too. Gina uses it, his news lady, Gina Grad. Brian is on it. Gary, all of them are now. Gary's fiance, soon-to-be wife, Joya, is a big coffee snob. And she wrote to me and said, I wasn't expecting this coffee to be this quality. And we just signed up. And, I mean, like, there's no reason for her to write and to say that.
Yeah.
But she, it was very nice. And, they're all hooked on my Pure Coffee Club coffee.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Vinny.
Well, you have a great day.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Come on. Yeah, y'all, come on. Here we go again. Here we go. Yeah, y'all, come on. Here we go again. Hot damn, yo, here we go again. G-Rock the pipe piper with the crispest sound begins. Turn your radio on. I'm glad you made it. Sit back, relax. Become radio activated. Once again, cause the time is near where we say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's back to new cheer, dreams, wishes, and all. It's time to elevate spring, summer, and fall. It's gone. Now it's on the presence of resolutions. Giving thanks to positive contributions and new solutions. The world peace. Let's pray for the day for that nonsense to cease. Move on, keep it moving as the beat keeps grooving. I keep flowing, showing, improving. With a sound so soothing to the ear, my friend. It's that time of the year, so here we go again. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, yo, come on. Here we go again. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, yo, come on. Here we go again. Here we go. Yeah, yo, come on. Here we go again. Look up in the sky, about to land on the highway. G-double-E rock super, cause that's the flyway. It's my day to take you all on a journey of positivity. Negative don't concern me. I wipe it clean with my hands, son. I'm too busy spreading cheers like dancing, romancing the funky rhythm of its anthem. My text is too complex to miss landing. Another classic, a song for the ages. Enjoy yourself. Metaphors, I got pages. The kind of gifts that you can't get enough of. As real as it gets, hip-hop stocking stuffer. G-Rock is rougher, it gets no better. Xmas file, super rhyme trendsetter. So go get her. Glass of champagne to all, here's a toast. Now you know, here we go, here we go. Here we go again. Come on. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, yo, come on. Here we go again. Here we go, here we go. Yeah, yo, come on. Here we go again. Come on. Here we go, here we go. Smooth it out now.
That was fresh, though.
Yeah, man. Everybody liked it. It was dancing to it.
True.
Feels good to be in the Christmas area, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, get everybody in that mood, man. Everybody be grooving, dancing. You know how it really is, though.
Yeah, even though Bass Nick rode by, he's still my dog, you know what I'm saying?
True.
Yo, man, you got any more beats like that in the trunk, man? See, maybe we can get some more of these beats for these people to dance to, man.
Let me see. A story would be good right now. Let me think. Ah, yes. One of my favorites.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas. Rocking around, come on, eat a funk. Go off, eat a funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, eat a funk. Go off, eat a funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, eat a funk. Go off, eat a funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas.
See, I remember the days, and it was late that night when I received lyrical powers to rock the mic. To my delight, yo, it was ill as I witnessed the skill of three dope brothers humming, coming from Sugar Hill. Pulled out a pen and paper, relaxed the mind, blank thoughts started forming. The nursery rhymes graduated with potential as I started to flow. The B-side instrumental, courtesy of Curtis Blow, assemble words like synonyms. And when I pick up the pen again, G, I drop the spice like cinnamon. I let the dice spin again, let's get it poppin'. Hip-hop's a trend again, caught back, nobody stopping what can't be halted. Grand Imperial, high exalted. It's the ruler of sound, G-Rock was all in, I lost it, kid. The fell victim to the beat, astounded as I turned up the heat and started rocking around.
Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas.
Sit back, relax, and listen as I begin to proceed. Dismissing negativity, you're bringing Christmas wishes. You all are merry and a happy new year. G-Rock is here to represent and bring the hip-hop cheer. So listen, it's really all about the reason for the season. Put your hands together and praise the Lord above, the God to bless you. With ammunition for the powers that be, I thank the Lord for the power he invested in me. To be the dope, wild, spectacular, true to the fact of the matter. The lines scatter the brain, insane chatter reacts. I bring it to you live at G non-stop. Without a doubt, I turn the party out and bless the spot. Be out of shadow of a doubt, cause it was meant to be. The hip-hop became a blessing, disguised as me. So put your drinks up in the air to this funky sound. As for me, you're getting funky enough, just rocking around.
Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Eat it funk. Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas. Rocking around, come on, eat it funk. Go off, eat it funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, eat it funk. Go off, eat it funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, eat it funk. Go off, eat it funk, go off. Rocking around, come on, eat it funk. Christmas.
If you like the music in this episode, make sure you check out G-Rock's The Xmas Files, available on iTunes, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you get music. There's also a limited edition CD. I'll leave a link in the show description. And I also want to thank Dynamix 2 for providing the extra bass song there. And thanks to Vinnie for taking time to do the show. And thank you to everyone who's listening. I love y'all. We'll catch y'all next year. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you. We'll catch you next time on The Street Report.
Rocking around, come on, Christmas tree at the Christmas.